Okay, so previous lecture we discussed about the different methods of disinfection. In that we discuss about the basic about the chlorination. Then the second method, that is the boiling of water. Okay, where the bacteria present in water that can be destroyed by the boiling of water for the longer time. This is an effective method for the disinfection, but it is not practically possible to boil the huge amount of water for a public water system, and there may be the chances of future contamination. Okay, so during the waterborne diseases or during the waterborne epidemics, publics are advised to drink the boiled water, okay, in their own houses. Second method we discuss about the treatment with excess lime, that is the maximum amount of chlorine that can be added to the water, okay, from 14 to 43 ppm of excess lime has found to be remove the bacterial load from that water, okay. So this excess lime they're going to be change the pH of water, okay, highly alkaline pH, and also they're going to be sometimes change the color of water, okay. So this excess lime process which required the recarbonation process for the removal of the color from that water, okay. So that recarbonation process that include the passing of compressed CO2 gas and passing through the bed of the limestone, okay. So that process is called as a recarbonation process. For the excess lime removal we required this method, okay. So the boiling of water, it is the first method. Second method is excess lime method. The third method we discussed, that is the ozonation method, where the high tension electric current is allowed to pass through the stream of air, and having oxygen in enclosed chamber, and that oxygen is going to be converted into the ozone, okay. So O2 is going to be converted into the O3 ozone, okay. But the third atom is very loosely bound in ozone, and ozone gets easily separated as ozone is separated into O2 and O, okay. So this O, it is nothing but the nascent oxygen, which is very powerful to kill the bacteria, and that also helps to remove the organic matter, okay. So this is a good method to treat the water, to remove the organic matter. But important thing is that this ozonation process is a very costly process, okay. And also second thing, this ozone which remove sorry ozone needs electricity for its manufacture, okay. So we require to convert oxygen into the ozone. And second thing, it is very complicated process, okay. And second, next one is though no residue can be maintained as it is highly unstable process. So these are the various or some of the limitations or disadvantage of the ozonation process, okay. So the next method of disinfection, that method is called as the treatment with iodine and bromine, okay. So same ज्याप्रमाणे आपण chlorine add करतोय, same like iodine and bromine. This iodine and bromine are available in pills, and that pills you can add to the water and that act as a disinfectant, okay. So treatment with iodine and bromine, it is again one of the method of disinfection, okay. So the addition of iodine or a bromine to the water can help in killing the pathogenic bacteria, okay, and same the disinfection of water, okay. So the quantity of this disinfectant may be limited. How much amount of this iodine and bromine should be added, okay. So normally the dose of this iodine and bromine is varied from 5 ppm to about 8 ppm, okay. 5 mg per liter to about 8 mg per liter, and the contact period required for that is almost about 5 minutes, okay. And this disinfectant, iodine and bromine disinfectant, are nowadays available in the form of pills, and that's very handy. So these pills you can use to the water, and you can treat the water at your own house. But one thing is that this iodine and bromine process, they are not used for treating the large scale public system, okay. But we can use for the small water supply like army troops, private plants, or swimming pools, okay. So this method, iodine and bromine method, is generally used for the limited water supply, okay. In case of use of bromine in swimming pool, it is provided to be good because the bromine residue are less irritating to the eyes and than the chlorine residue, okay. So that means if you are going to use this iodine process for the swimming pool, so in that case bromine residue are less irritating to the eyes, okay, than the chlorine residue. So this what the method, iodine bromine method, which is used for the disinfection of water. Okay. So next method we're going to discuss, that is called as the treatment with UV rays, that is ultraviolet rays treatment. Okay. So this ultraviolet rays treatment, these are the invisible light rays and having high wavelength. Okay. Okay. So this UV rays, ultraviolet rays treatment, to generate these rays, UV rays, the electric current is passed through the bulbs having mercury. The water is passed through this bulb for several times to remove the bacteria. For this method, the depth of water over the bulb should not be more than 10 centimeter, and when the turbidity of water should not be more than 15 ppm. Okay, so so for treating well water supply, small amount, not okay. So the UV rays, that is ultraviolet rays, are very effective or highly effective in killing all type of bacteria. Okay, and this process, ultraviolet rays process, having some of the advantages and some of the disadvantages. So first thing is, as no chemicals are added to the water, so this method does not change the color and taste of the water. Okay, so here we're going to pass the UV rays, okay, through the water, so that no any basically no chemical involved in this process. So no chemicals are added in this process, and so that there is no any change in color, odor, and taste of the water. Okay, so there is no danger of overdose. In short, it is a very safe method of disinfection. Okay, so some of the limitations and disadvantages of this UV rays, as same like ozonation process, it is a very costly treatment because we need to produce these UV rays, high ultraviolet rays, through the high electric current. Okay, so that is very costly method. Okay, next, it is not suitable for the large size treatment plant. Okay, so we can use for the small scale water supply. Okay, so for a large scale water supply or a public water supply, it is unsuitable process. Okay, with all such limitations, still the treatment is safe and convenient and needs minimum maintenance, and it gives about 99% of disinfection efficiency. Okay, so overall, this process is safe and convenient, and which gives 99% of disinfection efficiency. Okay, so these are the some of the disadvantages, limitations, and advantages of the process or the treatment of ultraviolet rays treatment. Okay, so the next method, that is the treatment with potassium permanganate. Okay, that is KMNO4, that is potassium permanganate. Okay, so this potassium permanganate is used as a popular disinfectant for disinfecting well water supply in village. So mostly for disinfection of well water, this potassium permanganate is used. Okay, which is so this potassium permanganate which kills the bacteria, and also it helps in oxidizing the test producing organic matter. Okay, so how much dose should be added to the water? Okay, so small dose of 0.05 to 0.10 mg per liter is used for the disinfection of water. Okay, and normally the contact period is 4 to 6 hours. Okay. Okay, so a normal dose of disinfectant vary from 1 to 2 mg per liter and with a contact period of 4 to 6 hours. Okay, so this is what the method, the potassium permanganate method, which is mostly used for the well water disinfection. Okay, and the dose that can be depend upon the quality of water. Okay, how much amount of organic matter, how much amount of organism and bacteria present. Okay, so according to that, the dose can be vary. Okay, so and the final method, that is a silver treatment method, that is one of the method. Okay, so silver treatment method, which is again used, one of the method we use for the disinfection of water. Okay, so these are the various minor methods which are used for the disinfection of water. Okay, so now we're going to discuss about the important process, that is what the chlorination. Okay, so now we're going to discuss about the what are the different types of chlorination. That is the process of pre-chlorination, post-chlorination, rechlorination, dechlorination, superchlorination, plain chlorination, and residual chlorine. These all terms that related with the process of chlorination that going to be discussed. Again, what are the advantages of a breakpoint of chlorination? What is meant by breakpoint of chlorination? What exactly happen after the addition of chlorine? Okay, and what are the different forms, chlorine forms which are available for the disinfection, as a bleaching powder, as a chloramine, and as a chlorine gas. Okay, so how this chlorine is act as a disinfectant, and what is the exactly process happen after addition of chlorine? How it reduce the compound, how it oxidize the chloroorganic compound, how it oxidize the bacteria, okay, and how finally we get the free residual chlorine. So this all process of chlorination that now we're going to discuss, okay. So we know the basic about the chlorination. So chlorination, it is a process of the disinfection where the chlorine is used as a disinfectant. Okay. So when the chlorine is used as a disinfectant, that process is called as chlorination. Okay. So this chlorine is available in all forms, as a bleaching powder forms, in a powder forms, as we can use as a chloramine, and also we can use as a free chlorine gas. Okay. So bleaching powder, it is in the powder form, okay, white powder form, and this powder form bleaching powder we can use as a disinfectant for the different types of water supply system. Okay. So this part, that is application of chlorine, what are the different forms of chlorine, breakpoint of chlorination, what are the advantages of breakpoint of chlorination, and what are the different processes which involve, or what are the different terms that related with the chlorine, that going to be discussed in next.